Hello, this is Ravi Katta. I'm the founder CEO of IILIFE Legacy Wealth Accelerator. It's a world-class program for tech professionals and entrepreneurs to achieve 10x their wealth. And I'm going to go through some of those frameworks and a lot of other things. But like a lot of people from Silicon Valley, I came originally from Silicon Valley. I know how hard it is to get to a place with a meaningful wealth, meaningful success. And even though a lot of people from Silicon Valley, they may make 250K to $500,000 kind of thing, but they end up paying 40 to 50% in taxes. So ultimately, they may not have enough net worth or liquidity for them to have a meaningful life or maintain the same standard of living what they have today as they get to a retirement age. So that's the biggest issue. And then not necessarily everybody has a job, even though they get paid well. They have a meaningful, fulfilled kind of situation. A lot of people are burned out and they're not necessarily happy, and a lot of them are frustrated. And so especially in the current environment, if you see it, in the last 3 years, roughly 600,000 jobs were lost. If you go to layoffs.fyi, you will see all those details from top companies like Google's, Microsoft's, Amazon's, and name any tech company. Basically, they went through major layoffs in the last 3 years. So I think over 600,000 people. And then that's the past. But if you notice it, with the AI, with a lot of other innovations happening, tech people suddenly are in a different situation. In the past, there used to be challenging economies and etc. used to create an issue for blue collar workers. But now it is also catching up to the white collar workers and then the people that make a lot of money. And so if you notice it, there's a good chance there will be another 600,000 or more people that would be losing jobs. And then everybody, like, including Sam Altman and all people are already talking about it, that there will be a lot of job trimming will be happening. So their best interest to figure out other income sources, multiple streams of income, and also obviously diversification, because being only in stocks or crypto, etc., is not going to help. I mean, you've seen last few weeks of turmoil. I mean, basically thousands of points of stock market drops, and then suddenly people are in a major challenging environment. So it's better that you figure out and have multiple streams of income, etc. But more than anything else, you want to basically figure out an area where you're able to feel fulfilled, whatever the job that you're doing, and then you're able to basically have pursue the meaningful success that makes you a lot more happier, right? So that's the position you should be in. So like you, I went through the similar kind of situation, so I totally understand what happens in the technology world, and then also being an entrepreneur, the kind of ups and downs, because success is not guaranteed, etc. And so why am I qualified to talk about some of these things? I'll give you a few examples, right? And when I went through the tech side of the equation, when I built a company and sold that one, and I was kind of not necessarily in a good state. I was uneasy and then not enjoying what I was doing. And then fortunately, I stumbled on some amazing mentors like Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Simon Sinek, and Brendan Burchard kind of people. And I went too deep into that one, and then I was able to really change the way that I see the world through the personal development journey that I went through. And then eventually I found the real estate investments as a vehicle. And then I was able to amazingly, within a very quick fashion, I was able to do 10x of my net worth in less than 10 years. And then also built close to $100 million portfolio. So those are meaningful achievements on the real estate front. But more than anything else, when I decided that, okay, I want to do something bigger, better, it's no longer about just making those extra $5, $10, $20 million kind of numbers. And I said, okay, why don't I pursue something massive? And then that usually can be only achieved if you are able to talk to a lot more people, able to reach and get enough attention, etc. So I ended up seeking a mentor and then a like-minded community, and then learned enough the strategies, the skills, and the techniques, etc. Within a 6 months time frame, I was able to not only get over 50,000 followers on LinkedIn, but also I became a number one thought leader on the real estate space on the LinkedIn. And sometimes I'm number two, sometimes I'm number one. You probably know Grant Cardone in the real estate space, who holds like $4 or $5 billion assets under management. He sometimes comes to number one, number two. So we kind of trade places. And also I'm top five thought leader in the world in the real estate and mortgage space. So that's some of those things that I was able to do it. So that's why I have that kind of experience of going from the burnout to tech entrepreneur to investment side and able to achieve a meaningful kind of success. So that's why I think I'm in a good position to talk about this particular overall direction and the journey. And then with that said, what's the aim for this particular session? And in the next 60 minutes, I wanted to cover the strategies that I was able to implement, the skills that I learned, and then also the mindset that you need to master. Because a lot of times we all have these limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are what basically makes us stuck to whatever that box we are in. So we never be able to achieve meaningful success, meaningful growth, and all that stuff. And then ultimately, one is skills and strategies, but then other thing is implementation steps, because a lot of times you may learn certain things through various sources, maybe internet, maybe podcasts, maybe books, etc. But if you don't know exact implementation steps, then you can't really achieve the meaningful results. So that's also I'm going to cover. So that's my aim to cover in the next 60 minutes. And then what is my goal? I mean, what's my purpose, mission, and vision? So personally, like I said, I went through this entire journey, and I'm sure you all know the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You go through the hierarchy of needs, and then when you are trying to chase self-actualized journey, you see the world a little bit differently. You wanted to do something different, something that bigger, better, bolder, and then impactful. So I felt that why don't I try to help tech people, entrepreneurs that are going through this pain. And since I was them 10 years ago, I was them. So when I tried to learn these things, transition, there was nobody to really help me. So I went through this journey all by myself, and so I felt that why don't I make that as my passion and purpose and mission. So what I'm trying to do is, how do I basically take, like, let's say, how can I help like 10,000 tech professionals and entrepreneurs in less than 10 years, basically break free from that 9-to-5 grind and then make them as legacy wealth builders. So that's my calling. And so that's the goal of that. So that's the overall instrument agenda side. So now let's talk about who is it for, and then why this is important. And so we just talked about biggest pain points, right? I mean, basically, no matter what we do in the tech community, we don't have that minimum required net worth, or we don't have a fulfilling roles. We don't have basically control on our calendar, etc. So we talk about the why. If you see it, freedom, right? Freedom is one is financial freedom, but generally freedom is do you have control on your calendar, which is time freedom, right? The second one is, do you have control on your basically location? Can you work from anywhere in the world and then still able to do what your role, whatever that you're playing in, and able to make enough money and then live an amazing life, right? That's important. So time freedom, location freedom, obviously very important, but of course also the financial freedom, right? Because if you don't have enough money, then you can't really live an amazing life, right? And if you can't live an amazing life, you can't even think about impacting other people's lives. So that is another important thing. So that's why we all need to chase that. I mean, if you see most of the tech people and entrepreneurs, they're not in that kind of situation. They're not having that freedom, right? So that's important. And then ultimately, if you see it, whether it's tech or not, we all deserve to design a life well lived. What does that mean? That means basically able to focus on what matters for you, what is important in your life, right? It could be starting with having a meaningful mindset, or having with a meaningful health, or having meaningful relationships, or having a meaningful wealth, so that way you can take care of your needs. So on and so forth. So those, some of that is super important. So it's our job to figure out and design a life well lived. So I came up with three important things within that. For example, at some point we want to try to build a legacy, right? Legacy, what does that mean? Legacy has some broader, different definitions, but in my view, legacy is nothing but not just passing your wealth to your next generation, but also your values, your skills, your relationships, and then any other things that matter, right? Ultimately, in addition to the financial wealth. That way, you are able to really make them not only improve their lives, not only take whatever the wealth that you pass to them and able to sustain it and grow and build that legacy, right? Your family legacy or whatever. So that is important. So at some point we have to start focusing on that. And then the second thing is lifestyle, right? These are the three foundational principles for design and life well lived as part of our company that we came up with. And so lifestyle is like, we are at usually tech people that are achieve decent, meaningful kind of success. They are at maybe 40-year-old, 50-year-old, somewhere there, right? So in that scenario, your runway already is getting shortened, right? So yes, get some money and then you had a decent success, etc. But if you are not really capturing those amazing moments, amazing, whatever those bucket list of things that you wanted to do and design, I mean, like living that lifestyle, then it's a problem. So you rather start focusing on those things at some point of life. So that is another important thing. So we should be able to have that lifestyle. So those amazing feelings, amazing experiences is what we will cherish as we get older. And then the last one is impact, right? At the end of the day, the happiness is something, maybe you buy something or you achieve something, or whatever general stuff. And then those kind of happiness will stay with you for a day, for a week, for a month. After that, it becomes normal. Whereas what I learned in my life journey is when you impact somebody, when you felt that it really changed somebody's life, then the kind of the joy, the fulfillment that you get, you will not get anywhere else. So that thing is impact. So it's our job, it's responsibility, it's our duty to really make sure that we leave the world a little bit better than how we found. So that's another important thing. So impact is, I would say, super important. So that's why those are the three things. A combination of legacy, lifestyle, and impact is what helps you design a life. So with that said, who is it for, right? At the end of the day, it's not for everybody. Not everybody are interested to do what we're talking here. This is for people that are very ambitious, very driven, and then usually tech professionals and entrepreneurs is who we work with. And then, but that's not the only, being just ambitious, driven is not good enough. They need to have a compelling reason and a burning desire to take an action. Because if you don't have the compelling reason, and that could be maybe you want to impact somebody, or maybe you want to give better life for your family, or whatever it is, you don't have a burning desire. And sometimes people lose their jobs, and that is a real need. It's a real thing that they need to go solve. So if you have that burning desire and willing to take action, if you don't take action, it's useless. So that's the important thing. So that is for those kind of people. And are you one of them? And if you are one of them, then you are in the right place. So we'll go through all the strategies, skills, and all frameworks, etc. that help me. And we go through those so that we are able to get some value out of this session. And so I'll give you a little bit of my journey, right? I mean, like I said, I started in Silicon Valley and just pre-internet times. And then it's been roughly 29 years. I've been some way or the other associated with tech, being initially in the job holder and then tech entrepreneur. And then eventually I became a full-time real estate professional. So what happened is around roughly 15 years ago, I sold my tech services company, and then I moved to Austin just because it was #1 place to live. And then I didn't have family, friends, or business or anything, but I felt that, okay, this is the best place to raise the family. And then so I moved here, and then I went through, like I said, stumbled on those amazing mentors and really went deep into that side of the equation, really created a new version of myself. And I started seeing the world differently. So it's important that we always focus, change our mindset, and also create a new version of what you're trying to become, right? What you're trying to pursue. So otherwise, basically, we can't really think that destination kind of thoughts or mindset or the approaches. So that's important. So when I went through that one, and then I was questioning myself. Yes, now I see I'm a different person. I see the world differently. But how do I leverage my time, energy, and resources? I might be repeating these three things multiple times for a reason, because that's the only thing that we have control in. We can control our time, we can control our energy, and we can control our resources. Resources could be some people that are at our disposal, our dollars or money that we have with us. So we can deploy those efficiently and then get the best returns out of that. So I was kind of trying to do that because I was not enjoying anymore working on the tech world, consulting world, and then not really interested to continue that side of the equation. So then I stumbled on Andrew Carnegie quote. There is you can verify it. It's like 90% of the millionaires that one way or the other use real estate as a vehicle, and then and that's how they made a lot of money as well. So when I stumbled on that one, I said, okay, why not check that out? There's no success leaves clues. Why not just see what's out there? So I went further deep in doing the research in that area. Then I kind of came across all those single family, multi-family offices, retail, blah, 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 a lot of different kind of strategies or assets kind of thing. And then further research proved me that multifamily is the best one because of everybody need a roof on their head, and then it has a crazy good leverage, and it has a economy of scale, amazing, and tax benefits, amazing. A lot of other factors that made me think, okay, multifamily is the best. And me being a type A personality guy that goes all in, and once I believe in something, I of course validate it, but I go all in. So that's who I am. So I ended up basically started looking for the different multifamily properties, and then let's pin it there. Let's take one of the first top tip. So like we talked about mindset and then creating new version. So the tip number one is the number one thing that changes your life is mindset mastery. Make a note of that. That is super important. And if you change your mindset, that's it. That's the beginning of your successful journey. So that's tip number one. And the second thing is we talked about time, energy, and resources, right? The second tip is basically worry about what that you can control. Do not worry about that you cannot control. So that is another important thing. So like I was saying, right, focus on maximizing my returns by using those three things. So eventually, after I looked everywhere, I felt that for the kind of capital that I can deploy, and then I wanted to do like 100 units or more. I didn't want to do duplex, fourplex, and that kind of thing. And so I ended up finding something, a 100-unit property in Florida. And this was next to the downtown and the stadium, etc. It needed a lot of work and a lot of challenges. Eastern part of town usually is like a little bit upcoming and gentrification going on. And I was able to find that and then able to buy it for like a $2.2 million. And then that time I didn't even qualify for the loans, because when you're doing, usually the lenders, they look for your experience and expertise, and then your debt service coverage ratio and a few other factors, right? So I had a lot of those things were missing. And yes, I learned enough. I went too deep and then learned enough by stumbling onto a forum called Bigger Pockets and talking to investors, etc. But at the end of the day, I could not show those things, so I was not even qualified for those loans. So I ended up scraping every dollar that I had from selling my home, some of the stocks and this and that. And then, of course, my family members, my few people end up joining as well. So what I said, okay, let me go do it. And I folded my sleeves and then went all in, built a vertically integrated company. And then we were able to sell that property like a year and a half ago for $8 million. So that not only gave like close to 4x returns from $2.2 to $8 billion. But also I was able to give like $750,000 of donation to the nonprofit that bought this particular property. So that's another thing that I felt so good about. So sometimes we got to do what matters, what really makes you joyful, fulfilled. So that's one of the journey. The second one was after the first 2 years of that acquiring the property, we did the cash out refine, and I was able to pull like a couple of $1 million out. And then I went and bought another property in Texas. That was bought it for like $7.5 million. And then I just gave those $2 million. And then again, my family friends were there, part of that already. And then the seller basically financed the remaining one. And then again, that was 50% occupied property. And then we basically were able to use the cash flow that I was able to generate as we renovate the things. So ultimately, within the 2-year time frame, we were able to really go and do a cash out refinance. And then what it means is basically you improve the value of the property. And so the lender, in this case, it's a Freddie Mac, one of the agencies, was assessed the property from $7.5 million to I think $14 or $15 million. So they were able to give $5 million cash out. So that's an amazing journey, right? You're able to get 2.5x within 2 years time frame. That's crazy returns. I mean, when I called one of my friends that joined in that one, saying that, hey, I'm hiring you like 2.2x worth of money, and then you got surprised. And then it's like life changes, especially when you're going through some challenging times. It really, really helps. So you feel so good about it. Not that you did anything great, but when you impact other people's lives, it really feels good. So that's the thing. And then again, we are basically able to again recapitalize now. So we're going to be able to get another 100% return. And then we have a goal of in the next 3 years, again, double our money. So there's a good chance we will do 5x or more in that particular property. So again, a lot of people only talk about only the positive things. That's not how it works. Life is not that. And so I did have one other property in Corpus Christi, and then basically we bought it around just before the COVID hit. And then there's a good chance we may not make much money out of that. The only good thing is basically the people that were part of the previous other deal that I mentioned, most of them are there. They got enough money, and then they will be getting more money now. So at least people are not going to lose money, and then they are going to get their capital. So that is, it's went through challenging times, the COVID, and then property taxes increased and the insurances increased, interest rates doubled. So it's like a 4 kind of things kind of hit us. So sometimes, no matter how careful you are, sometimes shit happens, and it's okay. It's not about just having the issues. You're able to figure out a way to deal with it and then come out of it. That's what shows your strength, and then that's what basically ultimately gets you to the area that you need to. And we had another development project, had challenges, but we are able to come out of that one. We are going in the right direction on that as well. So those are the kind of few areas of the challenges that I could talk about it. So there is a amazing quote from John Lennon. He says, basically, life is what happens while you are busy making other plans. That's how it is. So you think something, you're pursuing something, you expect something, but not necessarily always happens. So it's up to you to figure out and then go in the right direction, course correct, adjust it, and then eventually get to whatever that destination that you're looking for. That's the kind of journey that I went through, but I want to give you another tip here. Obviously, like I said, I did some meaningful things I achieved. Like I said, 10x net worth in less than 10 years, and then top thought leader, and then meaningful portfolio, sold a tech business, etc., etc. So if I am able to do all those things, transitioning from all these different roles into this area, and so if I could do, anybody could do it. The only issue is if you focus on the right things, then you can do it. If you don't focus on the right things, you cannot. There's a good quote from Tony Robbins: where your focus goes, your energy flows. Very simple. So if you don't know where you are going, what your focus is, you will never be able to really put your energy and achieve some meaningful things. So we talked again, time, energy, and resources. That's all you have. Resources, sometimes you have more or less depending on what stage of a journey, life journey you're in, right? But at the end of the day, anybody could accomplish these things as long as you focus on the right things. As long as the ideal way is learn from the amazing mentors and the people that walk the path that you want to walk. You don't want to go work with mentors that are not necessarily walk the same path that you wanted to walk. That's important. That's a distinction. The second thing is you want to definitely be part of a community, like-minded people, and then they are able to support you, they're able to make you accountable, etc. So that's another thing. So if you do that kind of thing, you will have a right focus and right kind of energy, right? So some way you are able to accomplish whatever that the goal that you have. So here is another quote that I came up with. Success is your duty, obligation, and moral responsibility. The success is your duty, obligation, and moral responsibility to achieve a meaningful success, to achieve meaningful results, so that you can live an amazing and impactful life. And of course, take care of your life. So it's your responsibility for you, to yourself and to your family. That's a tip number 3. So let's jump into the few of the frameworks and then the success formulas, right? So if you see it, it's kind of the quote that we mentioned: invest your time, energy, resources to learn the required skills, strategies, and mindset to achieve financial freedom, to impact your life and people around you. So that is the summarization of a lot of these frameworks. So it's your job to use those things effectively, to learn these 3 things: strategies, skills, and mindset, and then ultimately achieve the financial freedom or legacy wealth or whatever that goal that you have, so that you can live amazing and impactful life. So with that said, let's go into the framework number 1. So there's, I'm sure you all know Simon Sinek, and he has a great talk called Golden Circle. What it explains, he explains it amazing way how Apple operates, Apple computers. Now it's a phone company. So it is a simple framework. It's a circle, 3 circles, and then why is in the middle, and then how, and then what. So the way that he explains is why is you got to figure out your purpose, right? That's why. Basically, everybody has a different reason, right? Purpose. Some people might have, they want to give better life to their family. Some people want, crazy like Elon Musk, wanted to colonize Mars. So everybody has a different why. So figure out your why. Because if you know your why, if you know your purpose, then you operate differently. You pursue things differently. You take certain bold actions to accomplish those things. And the second thing is, once you know your purpose, you need to be able to figure out how you're going to accomplish your whatever ultimate goal or objective, right? For example, I call basically why is purpose, how is you need to have that vision of accomplishing whatever that purpose you have. And then the last one is what? What is the mission, the day-to-day activities that you do to accomplish whatever that ultimate the goal, and then executing these visions. Vision is basically how you're going to achieve what you're going to achieve. I'll give an example, right? For IILIFE, my company, and IILIFE is full form is I Impact Life. It's a little bit crazy name, but I believe in it. It's our duty to impact our lives, our families, and our people around us. So it's our duty to really make a difference, right? I Impact Life, that's the company name. And then so if you see, the purpose is, like I mentioned there, impacting like 10,000 tech and tech professionals and entrepreneurs, and take them from, at least help them learn the skills, strategies, and mindset, and all those things. And so that way they're able to move from 9 to 5 to grind to a meaningful wealth or meaningful whatever the success that they're pursuing. So that's my why, that's my calling, and I want to accomplish that in the next 10 years or so. And then my how I am doing that. We have IILIFE Academy with lots of meaningful content that people can consume and then use it and learn. And then we have IILIFE shows. So I'm bringing in thought leaders on the health side, on the various other areas, whether it's the mindset area or relationships or happiness, joy, fulfillment, a lot of those areas. I bring in amazing thought leaders. For example, we brought a NASA flight surgeon who is experts on the health, and then also the productivity guru, right? So she was able to really help give a lot of amazing pointers, and then so people are able to learn from that. Similarly, I brought in a thought leader on the mindset side, legacy side of the equation, who spoke in not only a lot of settings in all over the world, but also even in the UK Parliament, etc. So that guy was able to give amazing things. So we are continuing to do some of those shows so that we are able to add value to our audience. And then the second thing is, for example, even this session, right? This one is about, we're talking about a lot of strategies, frameworks, and etc. that help me accomplish meaningful success. So we will continue to have the master classes. This one is Legacy Wealth Masterclass, but other ones could be different areas. So we will continue to have those sessions. And then, of course, the other core offering that to help these tech people or entrepreneurs, I said, okay, why don't I design a coursework, a boot camp kind of thing, let's say 3 months, and then teach them all these things, what I learned in over the last 10 years kind of thing. So within the 3 months, they will become much better, much ready to do what they need to do and go maybe acquire a business, acquire a multifamily property or whatever it is. So that way they're able to move from the 9 to 5 grind to a meaningful business owner, etc. So that's another thing that we are part of. So those are all different things that I'm doing as part of how, which is my vision. And then the mission wise, I happen to do investments, whether it's private equity, whether it's like startup side of the equation, or whether it's real estate, etc. So that's my day-to-day stuff. I mean, that not necessarily always aligned to the purpose, not necessarily always everything fits into this one, because in that area there are other things like various things that I care. And but the important thing is that is the vehicle that I used to basically achieve what I need to achieve. That's my side of the strategy. So with that said, that's a framework one, and then we can go a lot more deeper, but because of there's only so much time, so I'm sure I will share more details on that particular thing as a follow-on, and you can find some of the stuff in LinkedIn and other channels where I post some of these important details. So let's talk about general success framework, right? So I kind of came up with 6 steps, and then you could see we talked about figuring out the why, and we talked about compelling reason, burning desire, and then ultimately what changes. The tip one was mindset transformation and creating new identity. So that's the step 1. So if you do that one, then you can go to the step 2. Step 2 is, I'm going to come to the framework number 2, MISSTER, Mr. framework. But I'm going to touch some of those points here, and we will go deep into that one. We talk about how it works for an entrepreneur or how it works for a real estate professional, etc., etc. We'll go there. But the point is, the step 2 here is in this 6-step framework, pick the right strategy, right vehicle that you need to use. For example, I think I probably given an example somewhere there. And so let's say you are trying to cross Atlantic Ocean. You can pick a small pedal boat, and you have to pick the right ship that can go through the whole challenges of crossing ocean. That's the right vehicle, picking the right vehicle. And the other thing, let's say you're trying to make a 10,000 unit portfolio. You can pick a single family investment. You have, because it takes forever to build that. And you may have to pick multifamily with like 500 unit size or 200 unit size or whatever the size of the thing. So you can at least scale to that number. So picking the right kind of game, right kind of strategy or vehicle is super important. That is a step number 2. So once you have figured out that one, you create your own big, hairy, audacious goals or smart goals. Then you go deeper into it. So the way that I say strategy is nothing but prioritization and focusing to use your limited resources, time, energy, and resources to achieve unlimited outcomes. So using your limited resources, trying to achieve unlimited outcomes by prioritization, by focusing on the right thing. So that is important. That is nothing, strategy is nothing but that. As simple as that. People make it so complicated, but that's it. And then, so there are a lot of things that you could use. For example, if you want to prioritize your things, right? The tasks or whatever that you do, you could use Eisenhower matrix, like depending on what the task or the project fits in. Some of them you do it right away. Some of them you schedule it for some other time. Some of them you basically delegate it to somebody else in your team or somebody else that you can outside vendor that you can engage. Some of them you should delete it. You should not even do it. So focusing and prioritization is super important if you care about achieving meaningful success. So that's the thing that we're talking, right? Success formula. So that's one of it. The second thing is, let's say, take an example of Pareto principle, right? You don't want to focus on everything that's in your plate. You want to focus on those 20% of the
how to interact with
that give you 80% of the results. So figure out a way to really make sure that you prioritize, you figure out those specific tasks. Take an example of in a consulting world, let's say you have 20 customers. And then if you go through this 80-20 rule or formula, and then you will probably notice that 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your customers. Go through it and you'll find it. The number may be a little bit here and there, but generally. So it's your best interest to find those people that are not necessarily giving you right energy. They're draining your energy, and then they're probably taking a lot more time than what you allocated originally, your time, your resources, time, etc. And they're giving what? I mean, like they're giving 20% of your revenue. You might as well fire them and then buy and then cater to that remaining 20% amazing customers, help them achieve better results, and then go find those kind of customers. So that's the kind of the focus and prioritize kind of thing that you should do. So that is the second step, strategy. Once you have the strategy, what you should do is always figure out the skills needed for you to really achieve a meaningful kind of results, right? So the reason is if you master your skills, you suddenly get unfair advantage. So it's up to you. Do you want to really be able to go achieve certain? For example, I'll give you. So there are people that, let's say, take a consultant, right? There are some people that charge for an hour of consulting work, they charge $50,000. The people that charge is like $50. So there is a wide spectrum. Why are those people that are able to charge $50,000 for just an hour of consulting thing? Because they master that area. They have unfair advantage. Nobody else there. I mean, let's take an example. Tony Robbins, right? He charges crazily, and he helps those people that are in real need, like Bill Clinton when he was in that impeachment situation. So, people are willing to pay whatever that you charge. So always do that one. Always basically get an unfair advantage by mastering the skills. So that is a step in that area. So how do you achieve the unfair advantage? You master that, whatever the focus area, the skill that you have, right? That the area that you want to go. How do you get that? I'll give you an example, right? I talked about how I achieved the number 1 or number 2 thought leader in the LinkedIn on the real estate space because I found some amazing mentor and amazing community, and I was able to pay my dues, and then I was able to learn from those masters, and then I suddenly became that. So as simple as that. It's up to you to find the right mentors, right community, like-minded community that can help you, that can support you, that can make you accountable, etc. So that's super important. So always think in that fashion when you're acquiring the skills. Again, we talked about it, right? Do not engage a mentor or go into a community that did not go through the same kind of path that you wanted to go through. So because that's important thing. So that way you know that, hey, that person went through the exact same path and then able to basically achieve amazing results. So ultimately, you are able to implement the same strategy, same skills, etc. So you're able to achieve your results that you need. So that's what that is. And then the step 4 is take massive action. At the end of the day, it's all about taking action. Because yes, you learn a bunch of things, but you don't even want to do anything because maybe the fear, maybe whatever, the thing that is stopping you, that's not going to get you there. So you got to take a serious, massive action. So basically, that means 100% focus. And basically, you apply certain principles that we talked, and like 80-20 or whatever it is. And then along the way, success is not straight applying, right? Clouds and ups and downs, flat holes, and a lot of those things. So course correct and pivot when you need to. And then that way you're able to make it happen. Ultimately, the grit and perseverance is what makes you achieve your results. So that's step number 4. And then the last, the 5th step is basically once you figure out some of these things, once you're taking massive action, once you are adjusting, course correcting, pivoting, you got to be able to figure out how to scale it. If you don't scale it, again, you can't accomplish crazy results. So you got to be able to scale. So that is the important thing. How do you do that? You can scale by two things. One is how leverage, right? Take the Ravi Katta's, I think he came up with four different ways of leverage. He said labor, and then I think it is explained actually better by Alex Moji, and then he coined like a four C's kind of thing. One is basically collaboration, like you able to use your organization, your team, your whatever, all kind of things, building a company, right? So that's collaboration or labor in Ravi's term. So that's the first one to leverage. The second one is capital, right? So if you deploy enough capital, you don't need to actually, you can go raise $1 billion, deploy that capital, make decent returns, and then you are able to charge 20% carry. So you didn't make all that $1 billion, you just raised that. So, but again, raising also is a skill, strategy, etc. Right? You learn certain things to go achieve that one. So you don't need to make money in the beginning to achieve something. So you are able to leverage capital as long as you learn the skills and strategy to raise the money. I think that again, there is everything, those are important, right? And then you are able to make money, right? That's able to achieve meaningful success. So that's the capital leverage. Then the third one is code. Code is like any software component that you once write it, you deploy it all over, and then you are able to really basically keep charging. You're not doing any extra work. That's how you're able to implement software code, etc. Mark Zuckerberg did an amazing job, and then he's able to use that one build once, and then able to achieve whatever the leverage he needed. So and became a billionaire very fast. And then the last one is content. This is important in the new world. It is super important that you use content, because content is something it gives you almost like an unfair advantage, because usually social media and AI are basically makes you almost they gives you so much of same capability, same kind of thing that even the people, big companies or major brands or very successful people have. So you will get the same kind of platform, same kind of access to the people, same kind of things that you can use it to achieve the meaningful success. So that's the content. So in fact, that's what I'm trying to do, because I'm trying to grow the bigger portfolio on the business side of the equation, in addition to impacting my fellow tech people and entrepreneurs, right? So that's the thing. And then basically the second one is, if you want to scale, you need other things. Typically everybody knows this: people, processes, and then the third one is automation or systems, right? So those three things are important. So figure out a way to use those things to scale. So ultimately, the last step, the sixth step, is basically give back. Once you achieve meaningful success, if you don't really give back and then make a difference in other people's lives, I don't know whether you will get that, the fulfillment, the joy, the kind of amazing experiences, or those things that you can take it to your ultimately older life, right? So it's important that we back and then make a difference. Leave the world a little bit better than how we found. Okay, so that's the regular standard kind of different steps that you could go to achieve the success. But let's use some of these things in the framework, in the term that I coined, Mr. Right? So let's apply the same thing for real estate. We can apply to any industry. So, but let's use it for real estate, right? So in this scenario, let's talk, we talked already MI, M is mindset, and I is new identity. Let's talk about, we talked strategy, skills, but real estate wise, let's say, so in the real estate, strategy is, for example, right? There are so many strategies and there's so many components in the strategy. So let's use let's talk about a few of them. So you can approach buy and hold, or you can use cash flow, or you can use building a network, or various different kind of things that you could use as part of the strategy, right? It varies person to person, or whoever, depending on what that person is looking for. I used building a network as a strategy. Now I'm using building cash flow as the thing, because I didn't make in the past the cash flow because I had other businesses, and now I'm trying to do that one, and while I'm helping other people. So it varies. And then similarly, you can pick different property types: single family, multifamily, retail, offices, data centers, whatever it is. This is part of the strategy. And also you got to pick the right location, city and neighborhood and whatever it is for your property. And then property class A, B, C, and different kind of classes. And then also your investment dollars that you're willing to invest, the range of the dollars that you are willing to invest, because that based on that you can determine what you wanted to do, right? And then ultimately risk tolerance, the amount of energy, time, and etc., and the capital that you want to deploy, right? And do you have risk tolerance? And then ultimately, what's that you're expecting out of this thing, right? What kind of returns or what kind of thing that you're trying to. So for me, I was trying to achieve 10x wealth, and I did that. And then for somebody, it could be, hey, I wanted to get like $250,000 of cash flow every year from, let's say, a year or 2 years from now. So that means some of these things will change. That's the thing. Strategy is figuring out the right combination of these things, so that way you are able to focus on the right things, but that way you're able to accomplish whatever that goal that you have. So that is on the strategy. Let's talk about the skills, right? We talked about general skills, etc. Let's talk about skills in the real estate framework. So in that case, for example, you need to know how to identify the problem, some marketing kind of thing, right? You need to know how to identify the teams that you wanted to work with. That could be property management companies, brokers, or that could be your staff, or maybe your accountant, maybe your chief investment officer, whoever it is, right? So you got some kind of marketing, sales kind of skills that is needed to go and attract those people. And similarly, once you find the property, you should be able to underwrite it the best way, so that way you're able to really get assess the right risk. Are you going to get this X number that you are shooting for, right? And so underwriting is a skill that is very important. There are various things that we cover in one of our programs. And then the other thing is capital raising. Maybe you're willing to deploy $500,000. That's all you have to deploy. But it may need, let's say, $2 million to acquire, let's say, $6 million property. So how do you do it? You may have to go raise the capital from your circle, from outside, whatever it is. There is a way to do it. And then the financing, right? Sometimes, like I was telling you, right, I couldn't qualify for financing, so I had to go do something else. But financing is another important thing. So you need to build some experience and expertise, and then debt service coverage, the various things, so that way you are able to learn how to really finance it. And then ultimately management of the properties. Real estate is about, you got to have the right team to manage property management, asset management, etc. And again, depending on the strategy, do you want to spend a lot of time doing everything by yourself, or do you want to engage other third-party people to do, etc. But nevertheless, basically, you're able to really apply those specific things. So that way you're able to do asset management, property management. In some cases, you may do value-add work. And that could be renovation, that could be something else. So that's part of the skill that you need to know. And of course, ultimately refinance or dispose the property and get the returns. Then also you reinvest, and also in the tax strategy, right? What's the point of making, let's say, $1 million profit in a 2-year time frame, but you end up paying $500,000 as taxes? It's not going to help. Because that's what most of the tech people and entrepreneurs do in the Silicon Valley or both coasts, right? Basically, they make good money, but they end up giving 40 to 60% of their what the money that they made as in taxes. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep. So if you are making, let's say, you are just $500,000 or $250,000, it's up to you to figure out a strategy where you are able to keep every dime out of that. So that is what some of those skills and strategies areas that you need to figure out. So we'll cover some of those things in our program if people are interested to join. Let's go to the next framework. And if you can see, it's we kind of talked a little bit there. Design a life well lived. If you see the title of the whole this talk, how to create legacy wealth and design a life well lived through the Legacy Wealth Accelerator and Mastermind program that we have. Framework number 3 is how do you design a life well lived. We kind of touched the legacy, lifestyle, and impact there. I'm not going to repeat myself there. And we have a lot of content related to that one. If you go to IILIFE.live/mission, you'll see a lot of stuff there. We went in too deep in there, why we built that, why we came up with those foundational principles, and how we're trying to achieve those things, how we wanted to help other people, etc. So that's the thing. And then it also has like 6 pillars that we care. The pillars are like mindset is the first one, like we always talk. And the second one is health. If you don't have health, but you have $1 billion sitting there. What's the point? I mean, you can't even use it. Like Steve Jobs said, right? Hey, I'd rather have extra day. What's it having all these billions of dollars? So that's why health is the second important pillar everybody should focus on. And then the third one is wealth. I didn't put happiness, relationships, fulfillment as the third one. I put wealth for a reason. Because if you have at least meaningful money, if you, again, we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Physiological needs, safety needs, and blah, 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 various things are there, right? If you don't have the basic things covered, you can't even think about the higher needs or like self-actualized journey and all that stuff, right? So it's important to build a wealth. In fact, even if you're trying to attract a partner, if you don't have money, it's a tool, it's a vehicle for you to have a meaningful life, right? And if you don't have, they won't even appreciate you. So as simple as that. So that is important. That's why get that one first. And then the next one is, before relationships or fulfillment, focus on the happiness. Because if you're focused on, oh, I will be happy only because my XYZ or I achieve this one, then it's a problem. Happiness itself, you need to consciously pursue and then see which one excites you without anybody else, by yourself, single. Because you came alone into this world, you will die alone. So you figure out your priorities to pursue the happiness. So that's consciously work towards it. And then after that, of course, right, you have all these things, but if you don't have somebody to share with, what's the point, right? That's why relationships and love and society, environment, people, friends, and all that is super important. And then the last one, but not least, it is very important, fulfillment, joy or fulfillment, whatever you want to call it. And like I said, right, once you achieve meaningful success, what makes you a lot more joyful is the impact that you give, especially if somebody tells somebody or you that, hey, this helped me so amazingly, you changed my life. The feeling that you get, nobody can take it away. I mean, you may win $100 million lottery that day, that week, that month, you'll be super happy, or etc. etc. After that, it becomes a number. Yes, your lifestyle may change in a good way or bad way. A lot of people that got lotteries, they ruin their life. Anyway, so that is a temporary happiness kind of thing, right? Whereas the actual impact, the fulfillment, the joy I'm talking, those impactful moments will where you just feel about it anytime in your life, you immediately feel that amazing feeling, right? And then as we get older and die, so those are the only things that we cherish. Those are the only things that we will carry with us and remember, and etc. So it's important for us to chase those journeys. So that's on that one. So again, go to our website, iilife.live/mission. You'll see a lot of details on that. And we put ton of blogs and content on our website, and also social media, Medium, and bunch of other places. So please check that out. And then the other framework, fourth one, very important, related to wealth building, is wealth building framework itself. How do you do that? You can do it in different ways. But before we talk about the different ways, let's talk about, there is a guy, Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote an amazing book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He explains that very well in a cash flow quadrant. And so let's just take the tax situation, right? As a tech employee, you end up paying 40+% taxes. I mean, you may be making $500,000, but you end up giving 150, 200K as taxes. What's the point, right? You don't want to be that. You can become a big business and pay only 20% taxes or 25% taxes, whatever the capital gains and like C corps and that kind of stuff, big businesses. That's a good thing, but not everybody could do it. So what's your options? You can become self-employed. Yes, but that has a lot more taxes to it. So you got to figure out a better situation, which I will explain in a bit. Ideally, don't be an employee, don't be a self-employed, be an investor. That is the ideal scenario. But the path, you can't become an investor directly, because an investor has close to 0% taxes, right? I mean, the tax system is designed to help investors to create more jobs, etc. So that's why you want to get there from these different taxes. So, but with that said, not everybody can become an investor on day one. So you may have to go through a journey called from employee to entrepreneur or intrapreneur, because you don't need to be entrepreneur all the time. Sometimes people are not cut out for being an entrepreneur. It's okay to be number two, number three, number four, number five. They make a lot more money in the longer run, and then they have a much better life. Because entrepreneurship is crazy. Lots of ups and downs. Success is not guaranteed, etc. So at least if not entrepreneur, be an entrepreneur, and then ultimately be an investor, because at least you get control on your calendar. And again, of course, there's lot of amazing ways that you could build wealth. But some cases you also go through tough times. But nevertheless, at least you get control on calendar. If you build it right, you can get time, location, and financial freedom. So actually, we'll go into the details, and then I'll tell you why AI and social media makes it almost it gives same advantages, right? So let's go there. So to build a wealth, you need to be an equity owner / equity. You need to have an equity in a business or investment, or you need to have a ownership. Pretty much that's what is needed to build a wealth. The wealth building side. So that can be accomplished through two means. One is being an entrepreneur. Of course, we talked about entrepreneur. And then the second one is being an investor, right? So investor means you could be a real estate investor, you could be a private equity investor, or a lot of other different kind of investments out there, alternative investments. But those are the two important ways that you could build a wealth. So let's talk about this. When you're pursuing a venture, entrepreneurial venture, whether it's a business or whether it's the actual investment itself, so you always want to see you need to question yourself, passion versus profit. Because so if you notice this circle is passion, this circle is a problem or a need that you're trying to address, that the marketplace needs it, and then basically you're trying to solve that problem. And then this circle is that you will get paid by solving that problem. So passion, a problem or a solution that you're providing for a problem in the marketplace, and then you get paid. So if you see these things, the intersection, this triangle we have here, that is where you need to be. That is entrepreneurial sweet spot. That is the entrepreneurial sweet spot. Let's say, for example, if you have passion and you get paid, but you're not solving the problem, then it's like a borderline unethical, Let's say, for example, you have a great solution for that problem solving, and then you have a lot of passion in that area. Then yes, those two are happening, but you're not getting money. So that means unrewarded. That doesn't make much sense, right? You want to get money. And then take an example of you are solving a problem with an amazing solution you have, and then you're getting paid, but you're not passionate. It's a miserable life, right? Some tech people go through that thing. And in that scenario, basically you are unfulfilled. You don't want to be unfulfilled. The whole point of getting out of the frustrating, crazy burnout situation to the other side is to have a fulfilled, meaningful success and life, So that's why so find out that center, the triangle area, and then go and that is the tip number 5. So it's super important. And then how do you figure out the passion, right? Again, that's kind of tied to the Simon Sinek golden circle. So here it is. Passion is nothing but the origin, the pain, the where you came from, and then the purpose or why that's the number 1. And the next is the vision that you have, right? The vision that you are able to use to solve that thing. And then the mission. And then the last one is the values you cultivated for yourself, for your family, for your organization, employees, and everybody else. So the passion is combination of this. Your origin, purpose, plus vision, plus mission, plus the values. That's what it is. So figure out that, then you are in an amazing situation. And in fact, this in playing an infinite game versus finite game, that's super important, because a lot of times we only see what is next year, next 2 years, or whatever it is. We are not really thinking about 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years from now, right? Playing that infinite game is super important, because that way you're looking at long-term win-win things. You're not worried about, okay, I need to make crazy amount of money this way right away, or I need to do this. You don't do wrong things. You do right things that way. And ultimately, to play infinite game, usually you need to be in the game as long as possible. For example, happily married, right? That's an infinite game. That's not one day thing, one year thing, 10 years. It is a lifelong thing until you die. And so that's as an example, right? But so certain things, being healthy, that's not one day workout, 1 month or one year workout. It's lifelong workout. you got to keep going to be healthy. So if you figure out an infinite game, which is exactly what I'm trying to do, what I'm designing right now, for myself and my company, my team, etc., is how do I build this infinite game? How do I make sure that I'm super passionate about helping tech professionals and entrepreneurs to change their game, and then I'm solving the pain and the problem that they have. I'm able to get paid for something that I'm passionate and I really enjoy doing it. So the middle combination is what I was able to figure out. That's what I'm chasing. That's what I'm building it. Because I know I'm not a guy that's going to retire and then just go into a beach or whatever it is, because that's at the end of the day, when you retire, you go downhill because you're not using your mind and body enough. So you rather not do that one as much as possible. Yes, you work a little less hours and then do whatever it is. In fact, it's not even a work because you're passionate. You enjoy waking up next day because it's giving you energy. It's not draining your energy. So you rather continue to do that entire your life until you die. Why do Warren Buffett continue to work until he's dying, or Charlie Munger, or whoever it is? Because they're passionate. They really enjoy what they do, etc. So it's important. That's another very good pointer. And again, if you're an entrepreneur, any venture, ultimately you need to build an exceptional product or service with a real need and for the in the marketplace, and also you have to have exceptional offer with a dream outcome. So there's a value equation created by Alex Hormozi, and then is basically provide them dream outcome. So increase the dream outcome, the result of that. So for example, for me, I said, hey, by end of this program, you are able to 100% guarantee to acquire a multifamily property, because I'm super confident. So figure out, increase the dream, increase the dream outcome, and then increase the perceived likelihood of making that happen. It is super important. Just having the dream thing is not going to get you. You need to have a perceived likelihood of making it happen. How am I able to make it happen? I have an amazing chief investment officer. I have an amazing team, and more than that, I went through this journey myself 10 years. So I learned everything, what not to do. Again, it's a lot of ups and downs or whatever it is, but nevertheless, I know exactly what needs to be done. So that is another important thing. Increase the perceived likelihood of achieving it. And then reduce the time it takes to accomplish that one. Reduce it. So you can see some of these things we kind of that increase, but reduce the time it takes to accomplish that one, but also the pain and efforts that you need to go through. If the pain and efforts are crazy, it's a problem. For in our scenario, for this particular program, the pain and efforts, 1 to 2 hours maybe, come on, that's simple. Anybody could do it. Even if you have a crazy job, you can do that. So reducing that, the pain and efforts, time it takes is important. So that is a value equation. It's super important to design amazing offer with a value equation, with a dream outcome. That's what needs to be for your product or solution as an entrepreneur, right? And ultimately, you need to promote it. I mean, if you don't promote it, nobody's going to come to you as a customer. Why am I putting a ton of stuff on the social media? Because I know I'm passionate about helping these people, but at the same time, if I don't market it, who would see that? Who would come, right? So that's important. So how do you do that? Warm outreach, cold outreach, employees, referrals, affiliates, ads, content, customer referrals, and a lot of those different things that you go through. And then the last other one, we talked about scalability, right? If you don't scale it using people, processes, and then automation/systems, then you will not be able to scale it. What's the point of doing a mediocre small thing? If you want to do something big, you got to scale it. So that is basically how you achieve success in any entrepreneurial journey. It doesn't matter whether it's a tech company, whether it's a real estate venture, whether it's whatever, doesn't matter. So that's the success formula, how you can do it. Again, going back to the Mr. framework we talked, MIS, strategy, skills, TR, time, energy, resources, right? So ultimately, you need to invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. I mean, S&P versus SNME. So you not only invest in the S&P index, but you also invest in yourself. That's super important. And then ultimately, I mean, this was amazing thing. So let's say your capability is to make $1 million. And you're making, just for the argument's sake, only $250,000 kind of money. And that's, you know why? That is because you don't have the skills to make $1 million. Simple. So the problem is you don't know what you don't know. Simple thing. So it's kind of ignorance debt or a tax that you're paying. So instead of making $1 million, you're making 250. That means that 750K is the ignorance debt that you're paying. So you're better off learn the skills and strategies and everything much faster. So you're able to bridge the gap. You're able to get back to that making a million, right? So that's anybody could do it. It's just a matter of you finding the right mentors, right communities, etc. That any area. Let's say you want to pursue mastering, I don't know, some sports. You got to find the right mentors, right skills, learn from them, and then be a part of the community. You can become an NBA player or whatever the sports that you're pursuing, right? Of course, some genes, some other things do affect, but at the end of the day, if you have the right kind of mentor, right kind of community, you can accomplish most of it. So that's the thing. Of course, you got to always take all these things with a pinch of salt, because not everything applies to every area. So it's important. And then, so ultimately, make sure that you pay off your ignorance debt. We talked about that the thing. And so in a traditional kind of thing, I learned all these games in 10 years. Like went through a lot of things on the real estate space, etc. And then if I had a choice, if somebody was there like me at that time, I rather pay whatever the money, doesn't matter, and I learn from that person in like 3 months and go do amazing things. So I could have built like $1 billion portfolio, multi-billion-dollar portfolio if I learned that way. So now I engage in a lot of these amazing mentors and community. Like I said, on the social media side, now I'm part of a scaling side of another amazing mentor. I probably must have spent at least $100,000. And in terms of what I'm learning in the areas to scale the overall thing. So it's our job to invest in ourselves. It's not a fee. It's not this. It's our important thing, obligation to ourselves to do what we need to do. And then, so that's the thing. So I want you guys to think about getting out of 9-to-5 grind and to the legacy wealth, the success side of the equation. The gap can be fixed by taking an action. So if you take an action, which means basically investing in yourself, seek mentors, and then make that whatever the thing that that you need to learn and then achieve the goals. And then in terms of what we have as opportunities for you guys to engage, we have Legacy Wealth Accelerator, which is kind of I mentioned there, which is like a do it yourself. But we're not releasing that one because we want to make sure that we take people through by holding their hand, moving from that situation to moving them to the success situation. So we're doing only do it with you, and which is Legacy Wealth Accelerator, is the mastermind program, like a 3 months of boot camp, 9 months of a full-fledged mastermind. So that way you're able to not only achieve maybe 2-3x of whatever the money that you invest in learning some of these things within that 1 year, and also acquire a multifamily property guaranteed, and then able to make few millions on the back end. So that's the whole way of doing, because we want to make sure that there's amazing success in everybody that part of what we're doing. So that's the do it with you. And of course, some people don't have time, they have wealth, but they want to deploy some of that and then get a lot more wealth. And then that's not a bad thing. So that is do it for you. We have like various opportunities, what we do. So if you're interested, we can talk more about it later, but we're not trying to sell anything right now. And then ultimately, if you want to take real action, if you want to change your overall the direction and achieve meaningful success, schedule one-on-one call with us, and then you can go to iilife.live /accelerator. So that's the website that you could go and then schedule time, and then we can see how we can help you guys. So with that said, thank you for you guys being here, and if you have any questions, we are happy to address those questions. Thank you.